I managed to get my hands on a kit of the new Laowa Nanomorphic lenses. I'm gonna run some tests, take them on a paid project, and find out if being the world's smallest anamorphic lens actually means they're any good. Currently, I'm just in the van, on the way to the rental house to pick up the lenses. I've just stopped for a coffee, as it's like an hour and a half to get there and an hour and a half back. To give you a bit of context of why we're getting these lenses, today's Tuesday, so I'm going to collect the lenses just to do some gear prep and pack all the stuff for tomorrow's shoot, which is on the Wednesday. We have a music video shoot, what is down in London. There's like a 3-hour drive from our office. My responsibility is just to prep all the gear and make sure that's all ready for tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit about these lenses. These are labelled as the world's smallest anamorphic lenses, or cinema grade anamorphic lenses. If you're not sure what anamorphic lenses are, these are lenses that instead of being spherical, as in circular glass, they're oval shaped. Now what this does is it adds more width to the image, and when de-squeezed and de-stretched, you get some unusual looking characters that in the lens, that like the oval bokeh, so the outer focus area almost swirls a little more. This is something people normally associate with movies, as normally anamorphic lenses are like these big, massive things used on big Hollywood films. But obviously recently these have become a lot more accessible and usable, and these ones are just pushing that even further. As I've not actually got there yet, so I've not seen them, but apparently these are tiny in realms of what anamorphic lenses are normally, as like the ones I've used prior are like 4 times the size of a photography lens. I'm picking up a 3 lens kit, if that's right. I think it's 27, 35 and 50. Now with anamorphic lenses, they are wider on the sides but the same on the height, so the wide one should be a lot wider than a 27. But yeah, these also come in colours, so I think they come in a blue, orange and silver. I'm collecting the silver variant today, what basically means that the flares, so with anamorphic lenses you get them flares that you see in the Michael Bay films across the screen. Now he uses the blue ones, he's known for, but there's also the orange lenses will give you an orange one, the blue are blue. Silver is going to be the white, or for the more natural looking ones, as that's what the DP wanted for this shoot. They're all a 1.5 squeeze factor. Now in the world of anamorphic lenses, you can go all the way from 1.3 all the way up to 2, being the most extreme anamorphic lenses will de-squeeze the most. So I'm going to get back on the road. Yeah, I'm going to grab these lenses, cut to the office, show you some B-roll, and let's get it. Back at the office, it's been around 4 days since we did the shoot. Everything was a success. I've had time to reflect, think about the lenses a little bit, and review the footage, what's the most important section, I guess. I also had time the night I picked them up to run some tests. I shot some charts, compared them to our DZO cine lenses, and also a Sigma 18-35 art. Just some popular Super 35 lenses I thought would be a good comparison, although they're not anamorphic, but it's just good to see the difference, so I'm showing them. For the structure of this review, I'm going to break down into 3 sections. Those 3 sections are going to be build quality, number 2 being image quality, and number 3 being value, and get into a little bit of compatibility on that. So let's not waste any more time, let's jump straight into the first section. Let's talk about build quality and design. This is arguably the strongest category for nanomorphic lenses. If you're comparing these to traditional anamorphic lenses that have been around for the past like 10, 15 years, or the older stuff, then majority of that are really massive, that are used on big Hollywood productions. It's almost been like this secret locked door that Hollywood didn't want indie productions to have, and it was kind of like the movie look, as you will call it. But nowadays that's changing, we're getting all these new lenses. The build quality of these fits right in with the kind of affordable cinema lenses we're getting that have been released over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years. Our DZO lenses that we own is really similar, like full metal construction. I dropped one of them out in a moving van and it lives to tell another day. I'm sure the build quality is really similar with these nanomorphic lenses. I feel like I could drop them and they would still function, they'd still get me to the end of the shoot. They might need a quick service or something, but other than that, these provide me with all the confidence I need in the lens, to be fair. Speaking of traditional lenses, there is the Kawa nanomorphic lenses. These things are like really old Japanese things that people rehouse and stuff. These are really famous, popular lenses. But the reason I speak about these is these remind me of the Nanomorph. It's because they're small. Because until recently, when you're looking for small anamorphic lenses, Laowa has owned that. Like, you would, if you wanted a small package to doing some awkward kind of gimbal work or something, then Laowa was one of the only options out there. Let's talk about some negatives of design. I guess this is being a bit nitpicky, but one of the negatives I would say is that clients might look down on the size of the lens. We've all been there, we've hired the big cinema lens, pulled it out of the bag, and the client thinks this is the best lens ever and this is how you make amazing video. But we all know as filmmakers that's not true. But that said, the Nanomorphs are so small they almost look like photography lenses with gears on them. And for me that's great, and I love that. That opens more doors to get better footage. But some clients might look at it a bit negatively. But I'm sure once they see the final image, that would all go away and they'd be happy anyway. So yeah, small little negative there. As I said in the start of this section, this is a super strong point for nanomorphic lenses. So I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10 for design and build quality. Section number 2 is image quality. Now, I only had 2 lenses available to test against this. It was our DZO Cine lenses that we own and an 18-35 that was also an EF mount that was in our office. So I filmed some charts, some color charts, and compared the difference between the nanomorphic lenses, DZO and the Sigma R 18-35. I'm now back at my home desk where I'm going to jump into Resolve, line the shots up side by side, and let's compare and see what we find. Here we are in Resolve, all the footage is de-squeezed and framed up properly. On screen now you're looking at the 27mm nanomorphic lens. Looks good, nice and sharp. Again, I think it has a modern look to it, but you can see a bit of pin cushion distortion in the back. Here is the 35mm. Colours match really well. We'll do side by side in a sec. Yeah, colours seem really well. Again, a little less pin cushion distortion, but you're seeing it. And again, the 50mm. Now, for some strange reason, this one's come out softer. I don't think I missed focus. I double checked it. All seems in focus, but yeah, it's a little bit softer than the other lenses. Sometimes that just happens. I don't think it's a deal breaker. It still matches really well with the colours. As you can see by side here, they all match really well. But yeah, punching in, you can just see on the far right where the 50mm is, just a little bit softer than the other two, but nothing crazy. Overall, really good. I love the look of these lenses. So this is nothing scientific or anything, but on the left we have the 27mm nanomorphic. In the middle we have a Sigma R 18-35, and on the right we have a DZO 25mm prime. I just thought I'd do this because these are lenses people might have used and have experience with. As you can see, you get much more shallow depth field on the DZO on the far right, as that has the lowest aperture. Punching in here, you can see what I was talking about with the sharpness. In the middle, the Sigma R are known for being really sharp lenses, as they're photography lenses first. And the Nanomorph keeps up really well. Anamorphic lenses are known for being soft. Sharpness is the last thing they are. That almost gives it that modern / but then has the characteristics of vintage lenses. I really like the look. You can see the DZO does something similar on the right. I really like the DZO lenses because they almost are modern but with characteristics of vintage lenses, what I love. And these anamorphic lenses kind of run down the same path, and I think the image quality looks great. The only other anamorphic lenses that I've personally used on projects are the Laowa Nanomorphics and the Atlas Orions, and both of them are much more expensive than these lenses. But that said, I'm impressed. The nanomorphic lenses have excellent image quality. It's almost a modern anamorphic look. It's quite sharp with not the most characteristics. Some of the wider shots are almost hard to tell they're anamorphic, but they definitely do have the feeling in the depth of field and stuff. They do have the pin cushion distortion, what is really common with anamorphic lenses. Another thing what I guess comes in the image quality is the colours. So these lenses come in all the different colours as mentioned before. The blue, the amber / red, and the silver. We was using the silver ones for a more natural look. Now, while our footage didn't really flare too much, I think there was one section where we shot a 60x, just backlighting a kitchen scene, and it hit the door frame, started to flare a little bit. But again, it felt quite modern, where in some scenarios when I've used anamorphic lenses in the past, it can all become a bit overwhelming, and I'm not the biggest fan of kind of where lenses are just too much and you can barely see what's happening in the shot. Right, let's get into some negatives. Now, negative number 1 is the 1.5 1.5X Anamorphic D-squeeze. Now, as I said, these have quite a modern look. Almost on the wider shots, they're hard to tell they're even anamorphic. I personally like that, but I can see that why that'd be a negative. If you're after a really strong cinematic anamorphic look, you definitely want to find yourself some 2Xs, or wait till the 2Xs come out in much smaller bodies. But I like the middle ground of these lenses, as I can use them across a wide range of projects. But for some people that might be a negative. Negative number 2 is the widest lens. I just wish it was a bit wider. Now, the scenario we mounted on a car mount, and obviously we can't mount too far away from the body of the car, as it becomes dangerous and the driver would have to give loads of room. So we mounted out what we felt was the safest we could possibly get to, and it just was not wide enough. The director and DP both said to me they wanted it wider, and the only other option was to chuck a non-anamorphic lens on, and I recommended against that, as that you can't really put non-anamorphic footage and spherical footage together in the same edit. So we just made it work by moving people around a bit and just compromise, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely a negative. I think they should add another lens to this kit, just on the wider end. For image quality, I'm gonna give these lenses an 8 out of 10. Still a really respectable score, and for the size, that's really impressive. I was not expecting it. Once I seen how small the lenses were, I was really not expecting the image quality to look like it did. And these punch well above their size and price, and it's going to be hard for a lot of people to spot the difference between these and a lot of the bigger, more expensive lenses. Let's talk about value and compatibility. This is another quite strong category for the nanomorphic lenses. The amount of options when it comes to lens mounts here puts most normal non-anamorphic lenses to shame. This should be something that you see from most brands, and I don't know why not, to be fair. But you've got to give credit to Laowa. The nanomorphic lenses come in everything, from PL to EF to all the mirrorless mounts, whether it's Panasonic, Sony, Canon, and on and on and on. You'd pretty much struggle to not get these lenses on your camera one way or another. They come with a super well made hard case with double locking mechanism on the front. The custom cut foam inside feels really well made, not like some of that cheaper stuff that flakes off. Feels like it's going to last a really long time. It's all well labelled. The kit takes the full 5 lenses that are going to cover you for 99% of all scenarios, other than like ultra wide or macro, and even then you could get a diopter or something. So yeah, the whole case, the hard case, the package, for how much you pay is quite impressive. So let's get to the big point, the price. These lenses are obviously super affordable if you go comparing them to traditional famous anamorphic lenses. Those things go for 6 figures and above sometimes. But I feel that would be unfair, as there is a couple more options starting to show up that are more valued the same and competitors to the nanomorphic lenses. From doing a bit of research, I found that, is it Sure? I don't know if that's pronounced right, but they are starting to bring out their line of kind of cinema geared. They've obviously done the photographer stuff. What I always thought was a bit weird, as photographers don't really want anamorphic, but they always had the lenses that was like small anamorphic, and they was kind of the first company to do it. But they had no gears on them or stuff, so it was a bit pointless. But now they have really sorted all that out, and they're coming out with a line of like full framed, geared stuff that seems a little bit more expensive than the Laowa Nanomorphics, but marginal. To say the full frame, you'd expect that. Now, I think the real competition to the Laowa Nanomorphic lenses is the Greatjoy. Now, these things look pretty impressive also. They look really fantastic. I've not had a chance to use them. I think where Laowa are really in front as it stands today is just availability. I think the Sure only have 4 lenses available and Greatjoy only have 3. Now, I'm trying my hardest to get my hands on some of these Greatjoy. I want to get them in for a project to give them a test out, because I really think they could be good lenses also. And they are both full frame lenses, but also are both a little bit more expensive. If you want something that's available today for under 5,000, then you don't really have much choice but to go for this lens set, as it's the only available one, what has the fully fledged kit from the widest to like 5 lenses. And just availability is so important. My local hire house that I go to on a regular basis has these lenses in a full kit. Doesn't matter how good the competition is, if they're not getting the availability out there for people to get them, test them, use them, rent them, buy them, then it really does not matter. And with them being so affordable to buy, they're really affordable to rent. We paid around £150 British to rent them for the music video project we shot. where if we was going to go for the Cowers, what would have been our only other option, the higher house we went to, we'd have been paying around £650. So it just goes to show that allows us to hire other stuff, to spend it on set design or hire a makeup artist, or whatever it takes to make the video better in another way. And these are things that you should always be considering as a video creator. So for value and compatibility, I'm going to give these lenses a 9 out of 10. An overall score of 26 out of 30. That's obviously a really high score, but for good reason. I think the Laowa Nanomorphic lenses are in a league of their own. I think there is no point in making a really small anamorphic lens unless they are really affordable to go with it. Because if you only have a shoestring budget and you're trying to get into the world of anamorphic, there is no point in hiring a big, massive anamorphic lens that only comes in PL mount and don't work on your camera body. You can't run it on a gimbal or mount in any awkward situations. So I think the small package and the affordable price is a perfect combination. So this is one step closer in bringing anamorphic lenses into low budget filmmaking, and that sounds good to me. If you're not working with billions on your next project and you want to shoot anamorphic, as traditional anamorphic lenses cost half of a house to purchase, then if you're super 35, you want something small that is easy to work with in super versatile mounting, the Laowa Nanomorphic lenses are the lenses you should go for. We got a 10k budget to make a music video and we chose to use the nanomorphic lenses, and if you want to see that, click here.